This sounds like the report you give when you come back to school after the summer. What I did on my beta weekend event. I mostly did PvE, I'll admit it, but I did get to try out a little bit of the PvP and the world versus world, but I really was just surprised. I expected to play world versus world all weekend, but just starting and getting my character rolling, I got really immersed in the PvE world and really enjoyed it. And then I was surprised too that I actually got to go and try the crafting part of it. And usually I'm not a crafter, and I'll talk about that more later. But to see how far along that system was, I got kind of stuck in that for longer than I expected to, and really enjoyed that as well. Overall, I was really impressed with where the game is at. There was a lot of content that was available, and that it felt polished, especially for the starter areas where we got to play. There was a few glitches, but for the most part, everything seemed to run very well. It was really immersive to be a part of the dynamic event system, to follow the NPCs around and see how things changed. That was a big part of it. But just the overall sense was the game is very close to being done, that there's perhaps some events or some features that aren't quite as done as they will be in release. But other than that, I was really surprised, even having played it the past 2 years at PAX, to see how much content was available, how polished the game was, the interfaces and things were really well done. And so the game is very far along, and it's made me really confident that with the product we get before the end of the year is going to be amazing. PvE is addicting. It's so immersive. You jump in, and right away you're thrown into a story. NPCs are shouting at you, "Go here, save us, do this," and you just want to. It's like you just hear the voice behind you, and it says go, and you go. So that's where, from the moment you hit the ground, your feet are running, you're moving toward your first destination, and the pacing was really great. It's like a good action movie. It gets you going right from the start, and it may dip a little bit at different points, but for the most part, PvE really has that feel of a great action movie where at the same time, there's story being told, and the interactions with NPCs, both through the cutscenes and through just the casual, the dialogue that goes on in the world. You're just moving, and you never really feel like stopping. I had played for maybe 3 hours from when the beta started all the way through, and before I realized even what time it was. I was just immersed and having a blast. So PvE was a lot of fun. I was really happy about that. I never felt like I was grinding, that I could just go look for the next heart on the map, jump over to there, start just right away. There were things happening, and you could go in and you'd be doing little things. Like the little help out quests are kind of fun. They don't feel too tedious. They might not feel like the big explosive thing you want, but that's why those quests, the heart quests, always have different things to do. Really, like in some places, I had more fun collecting the fish to feed the bears than I did killing the Sons of Sphania that were running around, because there was a great big group killing all of them. I was happy to go pick up my fish and go kind of do my stuff on the sideline. But that was the point. Like, there were always options. Things were always flexible, and it never felt like there was a lull to the point where I was bored. It was playing through. I played through a total of 3 characters all the way to level 10 and beyond, and it just always felt like things were moving, things were active, and there were things to do. It was just a tremendous amount of fun. Probably the single biggest thing in PvE that really drew me in was the storylines. I thought maybe they weren't going to be too compelling, and that they would move your character progression along. But I was really surprised. I got to play along with my brother, and we played together, and we were playing through each other's separate stories. But I really got into one of the storylines where you were dealing with in the Norn storyline where you're dealing with the Jotun, and you kind of went back into the past, like the article they wrote about the lore of the Jotun. It was really cool to just go in, and you weren't just running into their camps and slaughtering them all the time. There were parts where you go in and you actually wind up traveling back in time to talk to one of the great mountain kings, and you had to prove yourself. And then when you came back out again, it wasn't like, well, let's go fight right away. It was, you actually came to this point in the storyline where you had to make a decision how you wanted to deal with this threat. Not just, okay, this is what needs to happen, let's kill everybody, but what approach do you want to take? And for some reason, at that moment, the light just went off, and I was like, whoa, I have to make a decision, and I actually care about the decision, was the really weird thing. Like, it wasn't just, oh, I want to go over here to do this, this is so cool over here. I was like, ooh, but that sounds like fun too. I actually want to do both, but I can't. So I probably spent 5 minutes there just staring at the screen going, well, what do I want to do? I couldn't. Ooh, that sounds fun. That sounds more fun. That was the moment for me where it was just, this story is really fun. I really got that out of the Norn storyline, but I was surprised to see the humans were just as intriguing. And so it was just really surprising to see how engrossing the story is, that there's little things, the way that the characters talk to your character, the way you interact with people. You really do feel like you're part of that story. You're not just following along the same line as everybody else. But I wanted to take the paths that I thought were maybe uncommon because I really wanted to see how they turn out. I'm still thinking about my decisions that I made. I want to go back and I want to see how this storyline plays out, and it kind of it's getting in my head. I've got the little fantasy going on of, ooh, well, when I go back, what am I gonna do? So the story is engrossing, and I really want to say, at least, you know, if you're taking the route for the first time, you're taking different decisions, don't skip the cutscenes. They seem kind of small, or they might have in the past. I think they're worth watching. They're not overly wordy or overly complicated. They're really nicely done, and they do engage you into playing the game more. So I had a lot of fun with that. I was really surprised by PvE by one aspect that I really didn't expect to, but one of the dynamic events is where you have to go kill some kind of mini boss in the area, and they show up on your map, and they have a cool little skull icon, and you can kind of send out the waves that there's something big worth going after. I thought those might be kind of cheesy, but because it's just going to be everybody flocking and swarming something, but it wasn't the case. I really felt these really gave me the vibe of like the mini bosses from Mega Man, like where you would be running along and you get to a certain point, and like after you've completed certain events, you go there and there's something special. It's not just like, oh, this is a bigger warthog, which I really liked. I can't say why, but one of the coolest mini boss battles was this giant warthog that it was the Great Hunt. Not the storyline Great Hunt, but a different Great Hunt. And you could see all these people in the area were coming in, and it was exciting because we were having the hardest time taking this thing down, because it just comes up to you and one hit and you're flung back. And for some reason that was really fun and different, and having a pretty decent sized group still trying to attack this thing. We weren't overwhelming it. I mean, we were running around, healing each other, bringing each other back, doing whatever we could to work as a group. And I just thought those mini bosses really captured that very well, that this is a group effort, not just between your party, but a group effort in the world to try to deal with these problems. And I really did get that great classic Nintendo mini boss vibe, that you're coming part way to something really big, but this is enough that you have to stop and pay attention. And so I really like the mini bosses, as I call them. Another part that I enjoyed, that I was really surprised about, because I'm not normally the crafter kind. Usually, I mean, from back in Ultima Online days, and EverQuest, going back to those times when you would go in and you would have a crafting system. Crafting is crafting is always part of MMOs. It's because it does add a lot of character and flavor to it, to the world. But at the same time, they always get really boggy. Like, they get slow and they just don't seem that worth it. And there's always people who are just so much better that there's no point for me to ever go crafting. I thought it was, in other games, I was really kind of bored by it. It was too much to go out and get materials, and it wasn't worth it. With Guild Wars 2 already, I'm jacked up for the crafting system. I've never said that before, but it was fun. It was just kind of cool to have the little discovery system. After a while, you'd go in and you'd figure out, oh, this is what I need. I shouldn't have sold those vials of weak blood. I didn't know what they did then. And so I came back, and after I had some, and I could figure out, oh, that makes the mighty set of armor. Okay, well, what are these other things? What is this little venom sac? What is some of the other, like the little claws and things? Those little things that normally would have been swept under, just like, oh, I want those more than anything. And then you're running around and you chop down trees to get wood, and you collect the copper ore, and all these little things that just, they kind of, after I got started rolling in my first character, by the time I got to the second character, I was always on the lookout for where can I get those resources, especially the ores or the hides, or little things that you get off of the monsters that would help you build armor. It was just addictive to be able to go through, and you kind of figure out the system. It's kind of predictable, but to the credit of the crafting system, I never had to refer to the wiki. I was really happy that it was in-game. There was enough intuition, there was enough guidance there that they gave you just enough to be able to say, if you take this component and this component, you need a third component to make a set of gloves. Okay, well, I know how this component would work over here, but what if I did this one over here? And sure enough, there's kind of like 6 tracks that show you the different types of armor you can make. The discovery system was super cool. Being able to just crank out the refining things that you needed just to actually produce stuff. The way that the experience tiers worked, I was really just having a fun time with the crafting thing. It wasn't, even though it's a more technical, boxy interface, and there's lists and things, I didn't feel like it was something that was too passive or took me out of the game. It still felt like there were sounds going on, there were actions to do. It was, the discovery system especially was just fun to play with, and I was crafting some armor that I liked how it turned out. I could really customize it, and I felt like it was something that I could do something good now. It wasn't going to be where it was prohibitive in cost or anything, but that it could be something that as I play through my character up to higher levels, it was going to be worthwhile to invest that time in. And it was just fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how far I can go with the crafting. And I only did mostly armor and weapons, but looking at how some of the jewel crafting stuff works, I think that might be a fun thing to look into as well. So I gotta say, I'm kind of hooked on the crafting system now, and I did not expect that at all. So kudos to everybody at ArenaNet for that, for finally converting me to make me happy with the crafting system that I've always wanted. I really wanted to comment too on how nicely the game challenged you. It never felt like it was a steamroll. Even when there were large groups facing certain bosses, there were still people getting smacked around really good. It didn't feel like anything was like, oh, we've completely dominated this situation. There were always little challenges and certain things that made you realize that, yeah, we could wipe at any time. People need to stay focused on what they're doing and be able to contribute, and then you have success. But otherwise, just between the amount of challenge, even at lower levels, when you get down leveled, the challenge was still present, and it was kind of exciting to always have that element of danger. So it was a lot of fun. You never found like, oh, I'm safe here. I can just stand around and do nothing, because you don't realize you're down leveled or something else, and so there's the potential threat of danger is always there, which made the game very exciting. I just wanted to share a story too with how I thought that just exemplified how cool the game is in documenting itself, or helping you to understand how to progress. I started out my second character I started was a human engineer, and so at some point I picked up a rifle, and I thought that was kind of fun. And you run around and you learn the skills the more you use the weapon, right? So that's pretty cool. But as you go, you get one shot from your weapon that's a net that holds people in place. The next skill you get is one that you can use when you're up close. It does more damage. So at that point, you kind of start putting the dots together. I can hold them in place, and then if I get closer, I can do more damage. Okay, so I can play with that. I can hold them in place, get up close, use this one. So that's it. So then the next skill comes along, and it's where you shoot the ground and you leap towards them, and you do damage as that. Oh, so wait, so now I have something that holds them in place. I can leap toward them, and I can shoot them when I'm up close. Well, this is 1, 2, 3, not in that order, but I can do this, this, and this. That's kind of interesting. I think I like that combination. So I started doing that a lot. And then I got the fifth skill for the rifle, which was such a big shot that it shoots both people, you and the mob, away. Oh, I've got a lot more movement stuff. And at first I didn't use this skill a lot. I was like, that's annoying. Why do I want to go away from people? And then I kind of started playing around with it, and I was like, boy, you know what? In this situation, I'd really like to, I felt comfortable enough that I could jump up there and use my blunderbuss and do a lot of damage up close. But I had other times where I was like, you know what? This guy's too close for comfort. How about I shoot him with my blunderbuss, because I'm up close anyway. Then I use the net, and then I go farther. I use the one that knocks me way back. Now I put some distance between us, and I've done a lot of damage. Or better yet, see, that wasn't that good, because what if I switched that around and I did it where I knocked us farther away from each other, and then as he's coming back toward me, I can use my net and stop him there. And then if I want to, now I'm in control. I can leap back up to him and start that over, or I can just stand back and finish him off. It was really surprising to see how naturally it went from one simple skill to some added options and complexity and more. But at the same time, mentally, I'm kind of being trained, or I'm training myself how to use these in different ways. So I really found that being able to use just your weapon skills as you learn to use them really gave you a good sense of how to control your character, and how you can actually use just 5 skills, not even getting into the other ones, but how you could use those skills to manage combat really well, and it trained you. And I was really surprised to see how effectively it did that. After getting some experience with different weapons, not just the engineer, but even the warrior, I really found that I was surprised how much I felt like I had actually learned the weapons that I was using, switching them out, doing different things. I really felt like I had learned how to use the weapons effectively, or if not, use them in conjunction with each other, or do something else, so that I wasn't just flailing away at all the buttons, that when I did that, it just moved me all over and I didn't have any control. But as I paid attention and learned, especially as we unlocked the different skills, really how to get the most out of the different skills. So that was a really cool thing that I was surprised to have, that as I stepped away from the game for a moment, just to realize I felt like I'd actually learned tactically how to use my character better. And so I got to really, again, my hat's off if I had one to Arena. That was something that was their intention, and I didn't think that really that was possible to just have it where there was a teaching or a learning experience going on, but there was, and that was really cool to have that sensation afterward of just saying, I feel like I'm more tactically sound than I was before. So it was really cool, and that's something that I think if as people pay attention to that aspect of the game, it'll be really interesting to see how people play at higher levels and how things might change from the theory crafting that we have. At least from a player's perspective, the first beta weekend was an absolute success. It was just reaffirming to see how much progress has been made, how really, for me, all the expectations that I've built up over these past 5 years for Guild Wars 2 absolutely all met and surpassed, and the game's not done yet. It was really inviting to play. It was the way to play it. It was just so refreshing on the gameplay and the graphics and the style. As a longtime Guild Wars player, I was very happy to have been able to play it, to be able to just get back in and kind of re-experience the world that I really enjoy. And so the beta, I consider it just a real big success and a really good message to everyone who's been just hammering, when's it ready, when's it ready, when's it ready. It's getting there. It's so close. It's hard to say this isn't done yet. There was enough little touches that I think ArenaNet's over the next couple months are going to absolutely polish off and make great. And it's when the final product releases, it's going to be something that really for everybody who's played MMOs before, if they're at least going to want to try it, and I think once they do try it, just from what we've seen in the beta, it's going to be something that's really going to compel them to play more. So this beta really just we've been kind of just watching the Yogscast videos, and boy, it's been a lot of fun. But in this video, I didn't include any of my footage because it probably wouldn't be the same, because it's not, for me, I've seen how many hours of videos, probably like you have. We've watched all the videos. It's not the same as playing it. It's having that your actions actually being able to control things. In a lot of games, you feel like if you watch the video, you've seen the experience. That's not the case. This beta really put into my mind, the videos don't even do it justice. As visually beautiful as they are, as much as you can see cool things happening, playing it is so much different, and it was a wonderful experience. I want to encourage everyone who hasn't pre-purchased yet that's how you get into these beta weekends. Get in on it. It's little bits and pieces, but it's so worth it. Just to be able to already be able to get in there and also give your input. I felt, even though I'm not the most vocal or prevalent personality who's playing this game, I still felt like I got to give a little bit of input to what I want to see in the final product, and I was pretty happy about that. I felt like this beta, maybe I was able to find something that nobody else did. I did feel good that maybe my browser issue with the cash shop didn't happen to other people, because maybe that's my setup, but I was glad I was able to submit a bug report or two and try to help out. And boy, I'm just enthralled by the whole game. I was eager before. Now I want to go over there and see if I can push some code or something. Like it's just over I-90, so it's not that far. But I'd love to do more, and I can't wait for the next beta weekend. If you haven't already, again, sign up, pre-purchase the game, and make sure that you're part of the next beta weekend, because we don't know maybe things are going to be different. ArenaNet really knows the gamers and gaming, and so when the next beta weekend rolls around, they might be looking at particular features, and they're going to be narrowing down what the scope of focus is on what they're testing. And so this first one maybe was just a general one. We might be looking more specifically at different starting areas or any of that. So if you really want to have your personality as a gamer put into this game, get in on it. I really think it's encouraging to do so, and I really hope that, at least for me, and I hope I speak for other people, just thank you, ArenaNet. It's been worth the wait just to get to this point, and I cannot wait to get the full game in hand. So thank you very much. Thank you too to everybody who played. It was the first couple hours when it first came online. It was kind of crazy, but at the same time, I was on the Anvil Rock server, and Colin was there, and I'm just like, I'm swinging swords with Colin. This is the coolest thing ever. It was great. So had tremendous amounts of fun, and definitely encourage everybody who sees this to participate all they can in the beta weekend. So thank you again, ArenaNet and everybody else. So the first beta weekend was an absolute blast. I got to spend, all told, maybe 10 plus hours playing, and just had a fantastic time. I didn't quite feel like I got to do everything I wanted. I was really hungry for more, so that was good. That's the quality of a good movie or music or book, is that you want more, and I definitely want more Guild Wars 2. For next time, at the next beta weekend or at the stress test, I really would like to just explore some more just random parts of the game, because it always felt like there was interesting things around every corner, and I really want to find more. And especially too, I really hope that we get to have a beta weekend, I guess kind of like we did with Guild Wars 1, where we got to experience some higher level content, maybe like we did in the demos that we've had at